at one time we had tons of inventory, and it's kind of funny to see how the market has shifted. I remember back in 2017, all the Alberta money was coming here. Like we're like ambulance chasers. You'd see an Alberta plate and you'd be like, oh, that guy's looking for real estate. But it's funny how that has evolved. And then when COVID came along, I was expecting it to be like, well, die out or wouldn't be a realtor. Who even knew? And the way that it exploded was a really big eye opener for me.
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast.
Hey there, and welcome to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Josh Betcher, team lead with Moulin, Betcher & Associates with eXp. I'm your host, Ronald Quaroni. I'm a licensed mortgage broker in both Alberta and Saskatchewan, here to guide you through everything that you need to know about real estate in our incredible province. Before we jump in, I've got a quick favor to ask. If you're loving the content and want to stay ahead of the game in Saskatchewan's real estate market, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep creating this podcast and sharing valuable insights with listeners like you. And hey, I'm not just here on the podcast. I'm even sharing more updates and tips on behind-the-scenes content on Instagram and Facebook. Look me up, hit the follow button, and let's connect. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we are exploring one of the most in-demand real estate markets in Saskatchewan. It is lakefront and recreational properties. But is now the right time to buy? And what should you be watching for when you are purchasing lakefront property? Joining me is Rick Valcourt, a realtor with deep expertise in Saskatchewan's lake property market. Rick is especially active in Candle Lake and has helped countless buyers find their perfect getaway spot. Today, he'll be sharing his insights on the latest market trends, the do's and don'ts of buying a cabin, and where he sees the lake property market heading in the future. So whether you're a first-time cabin buyer, an investor eyeing short-term rentals, or just someone who loves Saskatchewan lakes, you don't want to miss this episode. Rick, welcome to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast.
Hello, Ron. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a good intro. Perfect.
I'd like to take credit for it, but my wife wrote that intro for me, so I'm going to give her all the credit for getting that all in there. Rick, you are a prolific realtor in the Saskatchewan Lake Country market. Walk us through, just at the beginning, how did you get into being a realtor and what led you to kind of specializing in lake properties?
So I was born and raised in Candle Lake. All my life, I went to school there, K to 12. So I had the experience of living and a real appreciation for lake life and camping and stuff like that. My family does a lot of camping, so I have it kind of in my blood that I've always enjoyed lake life. My experiences in Candle Lake has been growing up there, plus I had a business there, so I've lived there pretty much all my life. So I've had a lot of history there. With regards to real estate, I just like to share that experience with other people. I would see young families coming to the lake. I know when you stay in a trailer at the lake and you evolve to a cabin, that was really great to see. I really enjoy when you have your lake friends and your kids have lake friends and that kind of stuff. Like I'm sure you grew up and you have some lake friends that were your lake friends. And it's kind of great to provide that opportunity for people. So I saw in the market there, I had a place, an aha moment. It was really nice to sell to those kind of people and share the same experiences that I had there.
That's the beautiful thing of real estate is, you know, you're not a dentist, you're not a doctor, where sometimes you're delivering bad news. You're kind of the person that people check in when things aren't great. The wonderful thing about real estate is it's incredibly positive 90% of the time. And you know, even buying a cabin is an even higher elation over even just getting into the first home, because that place is connected to so many positive memories. I have friends who they own a cabin and they raise their kids in the summer at the cabin. They say it was the best decision we ever made as a family to have this thing together. So to have that thing, that place that holds a lot of special memories is beautiful. And, you know, Candle Lake itself, where you're kind of based and have an experience in, is also a really beautiful spot of the province. But just give us an overview to start off with, Rick, of the real estate lake country market and how it's looking right now.
Right now, we're very similar to every other market. We have lower inventory as normal. There's a lot of demand, certain price points especially. So the prices have gone up so much that anything under 400 is kind of really tight. You can get your good value in there, but it's hard to find stuff. There's a lot of luxurious market, especially in Candle Lake, Emma Lake, Anglin Lake, stuff like that. So the luxurious market, anything over 400,000, there is a little more inventory, but of course that's a tighter market to get to. Anything under that price point, it's very hard to get to. So if somebody's looking for a cabin in the 250s, it's really challenging. They have to be on their game quite a bit. That's where a realtor really comes in. They appreciate a local guy, and somebody that's lived there and can get on the, Rick, what do you think of this? What do you think about this area? So I really deal hands-on with experiences with those guys because they do appreciate. You can look on the computer and stuff, but you still need to know, can you walk to the beach? Can you do this? Can you do that? How about this? So yeah, it's really good to be knowledgeable, especially with those lake properties. I find a lot of people come up here 1 or 2 times and then they're just on the phone the rest of the time until they buy a cabin, or they've Airbnb'd a little bit, or they've had a trailer and now they're evolving up. So they have their experiences there, but they do find a local realtor helpful.
That local realtor aspect would be so important because you do have realtors who can do any transaction across the province, but especially something where you have the ability to have you who's kind of in the area specialize and say, not only am I a realtor in the area, but like I grew up here. I know everything about that tree to that septic pump to, the house that, you don't want. And so dealing with someone locally would be super important in that aspect. Walk me through a timeline, Rick, because the pandemic made things really interesting in Saskatchewan real estate, as it did everywhere. I just want to get your perspective on Candle Lake before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and kind of like where we are. And when I say Candle Lake, we'll throw in any of those kind of lake communities up north and kind of what you saw from buyers and what are people looking for and kind of where things currently stand.
So before the pandemic, I would say that inventory, you would see listings on there for a long time. The problem with selling a property at the lake, it's not like you have to sell that cabin to move to another one. So there's a lot of higher prices or a lot of emotion hooked to it and stuff like that. So people would sit on them for a while. So at one time we had tons of inventory, and it's kind of funny to see how the market has shifted. I remember back in 2017, all the Alberta money was coming here. Like we're like ambulance chasers. You'd see an Alberta plate and you'd be like, oh, that guy's looking for real estate. But it's funny how that has evolved. And then when COVID came along, I was expecting it to be like, well, die out or wouldn't be a realtor. Who even knew? And the way that it exploded was a really big eye opener for me. I just switched to EXP and I could tell the numbers were there. But yeah, there's some, not only did it explode, like the new builds that came out of it after that, like in 2002, 3, and 4, like our new builds were like 70. Like that's crazy. But people were buying lots, taking the family there, moving there. Prices were all high, like building costs were high and stuff. So that whole everything, I think it's leveling out a little bit now. But yeah, it was a crazy time. I was glad to be part of it, actually. But I think now you'll see inventory really low. I think a lot of people from the States is moving back to Canada. They're not going down there as much. So I expect that's going to make our resort property, they're going to put that money somewhere and they'll be buying cabins at the lake.
Great insight with these potential tariffs that, could be coming or may be coming. And even our dollar being worth a lot less when compared to an American dollar. If there's an opportunity to spend it here and not take that hit on the currency conversion, it might make a lot more sense to vacation closer to home. And Lake Country in Saskatchewan is kind of like Canada's best hidden secret. You get north of Prince Albert and the geography completely changes. Well, just walk us through a little bit about that, Rick. Just like the natural beauty north of the North Saskatchewan River there.
Yeah. Even north of Candle Lake, you go to Lower Fishing, the Eskers. You go to East Trout Lake. You have beautiful, beautiful communities up there. Really great fishing, really great scenic rides, a lot of cross-country skiing, a lot of hiking, a lot of a lot of lakes are catering to that stuff now. So it draws people there. So we have at Candle Lake, we have a great walking trail, a great sled trail. The golf course has a sled trail around there. We have an outdoor hockey rink. So our winter activities are coming all around. And I think a lot of lake properties are doing that just to attract the people to come there.
Beautiful. Let's expand on that a little bit. You're active in Candle Lake, But do you have a favorite lake or area to sell in, or kind of give us some highlights of places that, you say like these are places that are must checkouts?
Well, of course, I favor Candle Lake because I was born and raised there, and I'm just so familiar with it. I knew the houses before it was a lot. I know the development. I've sold lots of right from the scratch. I've worked really great with the resort village themselves, and the golf course has really been big impacting Candle Lake and stuff like that. I still travel lots. I have a trailer, and I leave Candle Lake with my family. We go to Waskesiu. We go to Lower Fishing. Lower Fishing is a secret gem. East Trout is really great in the winter for sledding. Whalen Bay has the best fishing if you're a fishing guy for trout. So just half an hour north. And then if you go on Highway 2 towards La Ronge and all there, you got Christopher, Emma, England, Waskesiu. Like that's all beautiful God's country. And it's not far, anything under an hour. And I find people just like to get out of the city and enjoy the lake a little bit. And you'll see lots of people. It's funny when I sell a cabin and it's a 3-season cabin or it's a 4-season cabin, but they feel they're not going to use it in the winter. I could see them evolve and start using it more and more and more. So many people come out in the winter now just to get out of the city. Have Christmas at the lake is like the best.
Growing up on the farm, I had like a unique perspective on winter, that I really love winter as a season because for all the things you're outlining, you're skidooing, you're snowmobiling, you're building a fire outside, you're getting out in nature. And I find now that I live in the city, I very much like winter less. And so I think there's probably like a reconnection to being in nature and winter's beauty when you're out at the lake, that there are all these activities that are super fun and can only happen really in a winter season. And so it's great that people can kind of reconnect with that. Just coming up in a few minutes here, Rick, I'm going to talk to you about creative trends and cabin designs, renovations, things that you're seeing from buyers. And I'm sure you've seen kind of some dynamic changes from 20, 30 years ago to what's being built now. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with Rick Valcourt. Real estate investing does not have to be a full-time job. Randall, Hoeber, and Boys Group Realty provide complete property management services in Yorkton and surrounding areas, allowing investors to enjoy passive income without the headaches of day-to-day management. From finding tenants to handling maintenance and rent collection. Whether you own a property or are just getting started in the market, Randall, Hoeber, and Boys Group Realty makes it simple. Call Randall Hoeber at 306-782-1323 or email info@ralixenterprises.com to take the next step towards hands-free real estate investing. Your property, our expertise. Whether it's your home, business, or farm, Pioneer Solar and Renewables has you covered. As leaders in residential, commercial, and agriculture solar solutions, they make clean energy easy and affordable. Visit pioneersolarenergy.com or give them a call to begin harnessing the power of the sun today. Are you investing in real estate? Let Krishna with Boys Group Realty take care of everything. Finding properties, purchasing, renovations, leasing, and management, leaving you to focus on building wealth. Whether it's a single rental or an entire portfolio, serving Saskatoon and surrounding areas, helping maximize cash flows and minimize stress. If you're looking for an expert to manage your investments, reach out today, home@meetkrishna.ca. Welcome back to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast, your home for all things Saskatchewan, all things real estate, joined by eXp Realtor Rick Valcourt, talking about Saskatchewan's Northern Lake Country. And Rick, before we just went to break, we were talking about, being young and experiences. And I remember growing up on the farm and never having an idea of what actually lake life was. And people would talk about cabins. And I almost imagined these outhouse style buildings that, there's just bunk houses, a wood fireplace and a stove. And then I actually went up there and I was just blown away by the types of properties that are out there that I would say you couldn't even consider as cabins. These places are mansions. Walk me through different trends that you've seen among cabins over the years and how it's evolving and what's really popular now.
Well, don't get those little cabins off the market. Like, I think they're great to have. I like little cabins. I like going families, everybody sleeping in bunk beds and stuff like that. But after COVID, the cabin situation changed. And like you say, they're not cabins anymore. They're very beautiful homes. They're A-frames, a lot of A-frame, a lot of custom design, a lot of timber frame, a lot of hybrid timber frame, stuff like that. People don't want just typical drywall and a city house. They have one of those already. So they want that lake feel, that warm, that wood fireplace or gas fireplace to cozy up to. So I find a lot of cabins, you'll be surprised, they all have those little timber frame touches to them, but they're basically more for the experience of getting out of the city and relaxing. So you have Christmas there, you have a big kitchen, you have whatever house, whatever kind of works for you or your family. A lot of people like just getting out there and going for walks. It's funny, you don't go for walks in the city, but you go for walks at the lake. You you would never go cross country skiing or in the city, but you do it at the lake. It's just funny how it brings those different things out.
Nice to
The
be out in
houses,
nature.
yeah, and a lot of natural light. I think a lot of people believe in that kind of stuff. Big windows, natural light. It's always nice and bright. Like today's a beautiful, bright day. It's cold, but it's still nice to be at the lake and just get out there and enjoy that nice weather, or not nice weather, cold weather, but that nice view and stuff like that. It's actually spectacular, the houses that are getting built. Like in Canada Lake, for instance, like I say, just because I'm familiar with it, like the home lottery homes are there and they're beautiful. Like the last couple of years they've been there. And then the new builds are just like spectacular homes. Like when I have my listings, people are like, oh, Rick, you look like you're in Miami or something like that because I have such nice listings. But it's just that we have really nice homes in Canada Lake there and lots of value with that stuff there. So that's always kind of a good sign. Emma Lake's the same way. I think it has like a $3.3 million listing there right now. They sold a big one in Waskesiu, a $2.2 million listing there. Like there's some high-end stuff and really gorgeous homes.
That is so cool. Have you seen a change, Rick, of people working in a digital economy? I would even put myself in that realm where you're not necessarily location stuck. You can work in multiple places. And do you find that that influences how people buy these types of properties? That it's not just about, hey, I need a weekend spot, but, oh, I could actually go and spend 2 weeks, a month at the lake up north and not be in the city?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a big thing. A lot of people working from home now. And if you're working from home, you may as well, if you can live at the lake and enjoy it. A lot of people like going back and forth. They have a place at the lake and they like a place down in Palm Springs or something like that, just to get best of both worlds, or they go down there for 3 months. But yeah, there's definitely a big market for that there. And I think all those lakes have good infrastructure now. Before, internet used to be iffy. Like, we got SaskTel Fusion, we got Starlink, we got all those things that checks those boxes that allows us to perform all our work duties from a lake property, which is really great. It's just funny. I on my Facebook, you'll see from my office, and it'll be off my deck of my computer, or with my computer on my deck at the lake kind of thing, office views and stuff like that. So I think it's really great to have that experience and add option. And if you can make money doing it, then great for you. Yeah.
Do I know we
Go ahead.
talked about it a little bit before we started the interview, Rick, but even that, this is probably influencing local councils and local governments to say, how can we get people to live more year round in these communities?
Absolutely. The key is year round. I was, lake properties, if it's quiet and cold and there's no snow, it's actually can be a very quiet and desolate. And the wife will be like, I can't take this anymore kind of thing. Like you have to have but I know nowadays they really go out of the way. Curling's really huge, sledding's really huge, cross country skiing's really huge, outdoor activities is huge. The golf course made a ski hill and just a skating rink on the lake. And I feel a lot of lakes are doing that just to get the more constant instead of up and down so much. And then having services like a pharmacy or a doctor or blood work and saving the trouble of going to town is secretly huge. So Ken Lake is very proactive that way. I find other lakes are going to be like that too. We also have a 50 plus club starting. It's just coming through right now on council, but they're making homes so rental spots. So you sell your place at the lake, but you can still stay at the lake, which is really great. And I feel that's going to be a positive impact for the lake. Somebody like my mom doesn't have to leave or go to Saskatoon and she could stay at Candle would be really great option to have. So we have lots of that happening. And I think all the lakes are a little more proactive. Like you try to support the small businesses in the winter and summer, because it's such a seasonal high and low. So I think all those little things help.
Wonderful. Rick, let's chat a little bit about buying a property at the lake. What advice would you give to someone looking to buy their first cabin or lakefront property?
Of course, you got to talk to your mortgage broker. It's a little different buying a lake property. It's very similar to buying an acreage, but there's water samples you got to worry about, bylaws. Some of those little cabins that are 200,000 are not right on the lot properly. So a realtor is really good to work with in a situation like that at the lake. You know the subdivisions that everything's a little off. You know what to look for. Some mortgages don't like a foundation, or they'll be like, Rick, is there a foundation on this place? And I'll be like, no, but we can't give a mortgage for that. So you really got to do your due diligence and work really good with the mortgage broker or the line of credit or whatever. I'm kind of fortunate because most people, it's their second home. So they're really qualified and they kind of know what they want. And then the luxurious market, like farmers or business owners, they know what they're doing, and they're easy to deal with. But yeah, my best thing would be just working with a realtor, knowing your market, your financing, and that stuff. It's really great to go rent a place and get a feel for the lake. I know the trailers get a bad rap all the time about. I love trailer people. A lot of them, you're at your trailer and then you evolve to a cabin eventually. So you're there with your family at a beach, you're at a trailer park, and you kind of move your way up there. And even if you Airbnb or you go to a friend's place and you start meeting some people and you start enjoying the lake that way, I think it's really great.
Yeah, from the professional standpoint, or even from the mortgage broker's point of view, typically when we're working with a client, there's an issue with like income and credit, because you're buying a property in the city and we just need to kind of get you to fit into that property. The lake is a little different because you do have, I think things have evolved quite a bit since like building standards in the 60s onwards, where you did have people just putting structures up, we'll call it willy-nilly, not a lot of permits and things. And like you literally just had people building whatever. And then because of that, lenders have pretty strict guidelines of types of properties that they'll lend on. And so to your point, the pre-approval process might be less about my income and my credit and more about which lender is going to fit this property that I'm lining up, and finding that out ahead of time before you're right into the weeds on it and trying to get an offer accepted.
Absolutely.
Let's keep expanding on this, Rick. What are some key things to watch for when purchasing a cabin? You find something on the MLS, maybe it's the right price, but what are some other things that someone should consider when they're buying a cabin? Should they be keeping in mind activities that they really like? Or what are some things you tell buyers when they're taking a peek at cabins that they should also pay attention to?
Definitely a home inspection, structural stuff like that. Water is kind of a big issue. Drainage is a big issue. There's some low areas and drainages, stuff like that. So in the older cabins and stuff like that, they didn't have the drainage in place. I think communities are working on that. But stuff like that, drainage, I would say also water was an issue, just because you have a well all the time, right? So you don't have centralized water and stuff. So, and if you're not using it all the time, some lakes you got to worry about access all the time. Some lakes aren't full access. So if you have like a 4-season cabin, you got to make sure your access is there. And just all those property line things. Because some cabins are, like you say, they built them back in the day and they stole them. They moved the property line and stuff like that. So I really encourage property. Well, I think the bank will make you have insurance anyways, but like even a surveyor's report or something like that, to be careful and know exactly what you're getting into. There's a lot of maintenance to a cabin because it's sitting for a while, like this cold weather. So you always got to check on it and worry about it that way stuff. So you don't want a headache where you have to be like, I got to go to the lake and deal with that. So you want to have it done right.
Another reason that maybe you should consider using Rick as your realtor for the purchase. When we were lining up the interview, Rick, you were in your Bobcat and you were also clearing snow for folks. Is that a service you offer for people?
That's what I'm doing right after this. I'm doing an acreage and moving some things. But yeah, I do supply that to my clients. So it's a little different, but it's actually great. It works good at the lake. I go socialize, and it doesn't take me long to backblade a yard. So I can just go drop off, go to the next one. So I think I've done like 22 in a day once, just out and about with my cup of coffee and tunes, going to do it.
The good stuff. The adults grow out of the sandbox, but they still have the toys.
That's my therapy.
We talk a lot. We've talked a lot about just buying a home, kind of as that family property, Rick. But I'd like to focus on something from like the investment standpoint. Are cabins at lakes, good investment properties for short-term rentals, long-term value growth. Just walk us through that market and what you see there.
Absolutely. You'll see that the Airbnb numbers have grown over the years. I think originally there was like 8. Now there's probably 80.
Wow.
I think there's 69 in Canada Lake and 97 in Emma Lake. And that's a lot of Airbnbs, but there is no accommodations or no hotels there. So Airbnb is like, I think a lot of people are, once you're an Airbnb, or you're always an Airbnb, or you kind of feel comfortable with that. So they have some really great properties at the lake, and it's nice that you can bring your whole family to that. So it is a good help extra income. You do have to be careful. Like Kelowna, they kind of took the Airbnb out there. And there's always a little bit of rumblings about provincial parks and stuff like that. But until there's actual accommodations, I don't think you have to worry. But I know at Canada Lake, they're busy very much so. Like even this time of year, February break, I have a condo for sale, so I always have to work in between there. And I'm always surprised there's guys, contractors staying up there, or sledders coming up there, golfers coming up there, families just getting away and spending a weekend up there. So it's actually a really great income producing thing. And even if you rent it out for once a month for 5 days, that really helps towards the potential of paying your bills, the tax write-offs, the whole little works of it all. So it's like, I think it's a really great tool and gets you in there, helps pay the bills. And they make it so easy. Airbnb is such a good platform that, everything's all recorded and everybody, it's not like the olden days where a stag would come and wreck your place. So I think I don't Airbnb myself, but I know a lot of other agents that have places that do it, and it just helps pay the property tax and saves them that cost.
For the people who are running Airbnbs, Rick, I know like Airbnb makes the structural stuff easy, but if you're someone living in Saskatoon, is it a matter that you do have people who are kind of driving back and forth and doing the cleaning, or are there services or people that you could connect them with to help run the Airbnbs? Just walk me through kind of the, if someone was like, I want to do an Airbnb, but I just don't really know how to put it all together.
It's actually one of those things of, finding staff all the time is always a challenge. And I don't want to blow smoke, or they'll be phoning me asking me to clean their cabin. So it's actually if you don't have a connection or somebody that you can contact and make a good arrangement with or something, it is tough. Or you have to come up and do it yourself. I know the friends I was just talking about, they come up and do it. They're up on the weekends. They have 2 places in the Airbnb one. So for them, it kind of makes sense. At our golf course, they take care of it for a certain cost. So it's like a rental pool. So it's a nice, no headache at all. They just deal with everything and send you a check, which is another great option to have. So when you want to book your condo or your place, you just book it. And then the rest of the time they're renting it out, cleaning it for you, doing everything. There's a little storage lock that you just put your personal items in when you leave, and you're good to go. So they try to make it as easy as they can. It is always tough to find staff, but there's always somebody on Facebook that's cleaning away, or you can find a lady it's a good gig to get into, because I think there's a market for it, but it's still always tougher to find.
This is kind of like the combination of having your cake and eat it too. The issue with buying a cabin is you now take on all these extra expenses and things you have to take care of, but you also really want this place that you can interact with family and create these memories. And so being able to Airbnb and still, maintain ownership of that property allows you to have a little bit of the best of both of those worlds, of it not costing you an arm and a leg, but also having ownership rights of the property.
Absolutely. I always find too, Airbnbers eventually become cabin people. Like you Airbnb there a couple years, and then you're like, wow, we used to Airbnb this place. I heard this one's coming up. So it's actually a great tool to get people to the lake and really start enjoying the lake. So then they take the next level and buy a place.
Let's go. We're coming up to the end here, Rick. Just a few more questions. How do you see the lake property market evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? If you can look into your crystal ball and tell us what you think is going to happen in the next 5-10 years here. The Saskatchewan Realtors Association supports over 1,700 realtors across the province. Their members provide expert insights to help you navigate the market. Visit sra.ca for monthly stats, industry updates, and to find a realtor near you.
I believe in the next 5-10 years, it's going to be very strong with the lack of inventory. And then I think the Mexico market is picking up like crazy. Like if you talk to guys that are agents, I have friends that are agents down there now. And like a lot of Canadians buying there and not getting out of the States. But out of I don't know what the numbers are, but you still get guys buying at resort properties here. And it is a good investment. Long-term wise, you buy a cabin, you use it for 10 years, you sell it, your equity ahead for sure. You had a lot of great experiences with the kids. I know a lot of people have sold a place and I was like, their home is so gorgeous. Why are you selling? Well, the kids moved to Alberta, or they're not coming up as much, or they bought a little place at another lake or something like that. So then they're just like, well, we don't need this big place as much anymore. We could take that money and do something else with it. But I think there's still people out there that are going to be buying those places. I'm actually looking forward to 2025 here. I think it's going to be it's just a weird year with so much turmoil going on everywhere. It's like the COVID, you're like kind of nervous, but you're kind of excited, and people want to put that money somewhere. So I feel that the lake property is a good investment.
All right. Another asset that you can put your money into and have a projection of some potential future growth there. Yeah, I would agree with that. Before I get to your contact details, Rick, I want a piece of advice that you would give to a younger Rick Valcourt. What would you tell yourself and why?
What would I tell myself and why? I would say, that's a good question. I should have made some notes on that. But I believe in service first. I'm very passionate about bringing you to the lake, and I live at the lake, so I want to have a happy hour with you one day on your deck. So it's not just about selling the place. It's about providing a great experience for them and being their neighbor and making sure they have a great time at the lake. So if they phone me, Rick, do you know a plumber at the lake? I have in my contacts the plumber list. I try to make it as easy and quick and any issues they have. So I'm not only just getting you to the lake. I want you to feel comfortable at the lake. If you want to go golfing, if you want to go pontoon boat ride, if you want to do whatever, I really want you to experience the happiness that I had at the lake. So I don't want it to be a nightmare for you. I don't want your water lines froze and all the rest of that stuff. So I think the number one thing is just making sure everybody, and I've always kind of been like that. I don't know if I'm better now or if when I was younger, it was more about the sale, but I just really feel making people at home. That's why I do their driveway. It's so funny how you come to the lake and your driveway is done. That's one thing less you have to do. You can just go inside your house and you're good to go. And it's a great feeling. You're happy to be at the lake. You're not out there shoveling a bunch of snow right off the start. And I kind of feel that's a great thing, making sure they have great experiences.
Good, man. Okay, Rick, if someone's listening to this and they're like, yeah, I want to know more about the area, I'm maybe thinking about buying or selling, how can they get in contact with you?
My cell number is 306-960-6485. My email is rick.valcourt@eXp Realty, or you can just look up Rick Valcourt, eXp Realty. I'm on Facebook quite a bit. I have a good following there. Anybody look Candle Lake, I kind of pop up pretty good. So I feel I've been there a long time. So you can find me just Candle Lake Realtor or Candle Lake. But yeah, like I said, like anybody needs any questions or anything about Candle Lake, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and expertise, Rick. It's really great chatting to you. Even in this conversation, it's like, yeah, lake properties. That we should make this happen at some point. And so I really appreciate your passion for the area and helping to promote, I think, one of Saskatchewan's most hidden gems, in that everyone imagines Saskatchewan and just this barren prairie. And, once you get to that northern part of the province, it really is so beautiful. So thank you for the work that you do, and continued good blessings to you in 2025.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. Don't be a stranger. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or investing in real estate, I'm here to help you navigate the mortgage process in both Saskatchewan and Alberta. Use the booking link below to schedule a time to chat. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a valuable piece of real estate information. Until next week, I'm Ron Quaroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional. Bye for now.